The following video was captured by two young friends who were driving on a road in the fields that was owned by one of their family members. They do this ever so often when hanging out on the weekends. Tonight was a bit strange, however, because they thought to have seen something in the distance and kept driving towards it.
My camera can't pick it up. What are those?
Dude.
What are those? Why does it look like they have heads? Bro, that's actually people. Bro!
Please just get out of here, dude.
It's quite strange how several pairs of what appears to be torsos, dressed in white, can be seen, lined up next to each other. The two believed that this perhaps had been a cult that was trespassing and maybe even performing some form of ritual. But if that's not the case, what could we be looking at here exactly? Pretty creepy encounter though, that's for sure. The next video is just as strange as the one before. It was captured by a man who was riding his motorbike at night at the outskirts of town. In this region, it's not surprising to hear about many different ghost stories and accounts that the villagers share ever so often. Based on the rider's reports, he had merely been driving around at the time when he saw a strange person at the side of the road, dressed in what appeared to be some kind of white clothing. And then he saw the following occur with his own eyes. The man turned around after seeing this person moving up into the air, and they were just hovering there. Obviously, no ordinary person can do such a thing. So, do we have to believe that he came face to face with a real spirit here? The man was so freaked out that he avoided driving this road at night for a while. And who can blame him? This video was recorded by the home security system of a residence that is said to host quite the number of spirits. A team of young enthusiasts was over that night to investigate the matter. It is unclear if they were trying to actually help the owners at the time, or if this was more of a curious adventure. Whatever the reason, the security system captured something interesting.
Oh yeah, there's something on my leg. The leg, yeah, like a numb, tingly, numb feeling. Maybe you're sitting on it. So sit on the floor, maybe? No, it's like almost like a cold, frozen type numbness. When I was walking through the hallway. It's going away now. That's crazy.
The girls seem to freak out a bit when they hear a knock at the end of the hallway. It's not clear what exactly it was, but it sounds to me like an object was falling down. We also can see something peeking from the left corner. Then there's also a bright object appearing right behind the couch. The security camera captured it only for a moment. Maybe it was one of the spirits that are causing mischief in this home. What do you believe? Now we want to take a look at the case of Ashley Kettering, a young single mother who was living with her 5-year-old in a nice house. She states that recently the security cameras have captured some concerning events, especially on the lower floors of her house and even the basement. It all started after acquiring an ancient clock that the young mother had refurbished.
Refurbished this clock. It is a real antique. It works, excuse me, but my kids say that the chime is really creepy, so they never want me to turn it on.
This night, something semi-transparent seemed to make its way up the stairs towards the living area, and Ashley was pretty concerned because she and her kid were already in bed at the time and nobody else was at the residence. A few nights after, she shared this video. As the family went to bed this night, this eerie thing was seen at the bottom of the stairs to their basement. Ashley was certain that something demonic might have made its way into her home, perhaps attached to the old antique clock. This night, it appears that a strange shape was captured down in the basement. Some think that this thing might have even worn a rope. It is without a doubt, though, that something otherworldly was going on here, which is why Ashley stated that they got rid of the clock shortly after discovering this thing on video. How nightmarish. The Denver State Hospital closed down in 1992, but when it was opened, about 3,000 people with serious mental problems stayed there. The staff treated them badly, and nurses who used to work there still remember seeing really scary things, like patients walking around in their own mess because they weren't taken care of properly. One night in 2000, a security guard who was supposed to keep an eye on the old building recorded something weird while checking out the basement. It's a bit hard to see, but in the video, the guard moves the camera to a room in the basement. You can see a dark figure moving slowly inside. The guard didn't notice it at the time, but later, when he watched the recording again, he got really scared. In the footage, there's a shadowy figure. Remember, the basement is off limits, so no one else should have been there. People watching the video think it might be something supernatural, like a ghost. But the big question is, what exactly did the camera capture? Whether it's a ghost or not, we still don't know. The next clip was filmed by paranormal investigation team FrostmareTV, who are based out of Singapore. In this episode, they are visiting an old abandoned farm home that is said to be haunted by a woman who can be seen lurking around the building. Locals think perhaps it is one of the old tenants of one of the homes who isn't ready to pass on yet. Without a direct way into the house, the group decides to climb up on a portion of the roof and try to enter from one of the upper level windows. This is the moment when the cameraman captures this strange sighting. Let's take a look. In the top right corner of the window, a strange white face is peeking out at the ghost hunters. Could this be the same spirit of the woman that is said to haunt the house? After spotting the face, the group jumps down off the roof in fear, and understandably so. Do you guys think this is a true ghost sighting, or perhaps just a hoax? Let me know. The following is a recording which was shared by user Cam. She was recording a fun dance tonight for her profile and had some of her family and friends over. All in all, it was a really enjoyable evening, but one of her friends noticed that something seemed off with this video. It almost appears as if a creepy face can be seen in the mirror behind the woman. They stated that this was not a reflection of something else, and that this normally isn't there. So, was it something from another realm, or is it just pareidoia? The following is an unsettling case that was documented by user Chloe Hart. She recently moved into a new home with her family, and as we have learned, sometimes these houses inherit some ghosts from the past. Chloe was initially doing a choreography for her profile, and then captured something strange on her staircase, and she swears that it was none of her pets. However, before we take a look at that, Chloe states that weird things are happening in this house all the time, like here for example. Strange, right? Let's take a look at her clip now. Something is coming down the stairs, but when Chloe was home alone that day, what was it? I couldn't say if it looked like an animal though. Some people think it did.
Everyone's asking me if it's a dog, so I'm going to show you my dogs. There's one, there's two, this is the stairs, this is a stairgate, the dogs can't go up there.
What do you think happened here? Was it just a family member that was home and Chloe didn't know? Or a paranormal event? TikTok user Lauren Rose 867 started filming one night when she felt that her cat was acting pretty unusual. She was a bit estranged and in the end kept staring against the ceiling, as if the animal felt something, or maybe even seeing. While this was taking place, another strange occurrence unfolded, for which Lauren had no explanation for at the time.
Okay.
Have you seen that? What on earth is floating by behind the couch there? Lauren appears to have captured a shadow apparition, which is creepy on its own, but was it also responsible for all the noises? And even catching her cat's attention? Maybe it was just the beginning of something that will keep unfolding in the future. Viewers have pointed out that it might be a family member, but I feel the floating nature to this thing almost rules out a natural person just walking by. What is your opinion? Drew has shared the following recording, in which he tells us that he heard some really odd noises stemming from his basement and that he was so afraid that he decided to investigate.
See if I can get anything on video. Nobody's been down here all day.
The second the man turns, a weird-looking shadow is being captured, and he doesn't even notice it, even though he thinks to have seen something, and then proceeds to walk back upstairs. Did this thing maybe tamper with the play toys? This video was shared by Caxlin01, who tells us that after moving into what he describes as one of the most haunted houses he ever experienced, things started to fall apart rather quickly. The man shared lots of poltergeist encounters with his viewers, but at a certain point he was sure that the spirit of a little child liked to manifest ever so often to scare him even more. The reasons are unknown. This was one of the latest recordings that he shared with his viewers. Is it possible that we are actually seeing the spirit here? It almost looks a bit too perfect in my opinion, and makes me think of the works of a similar channel. But who knows? I wasn't there after all. The next video is called Humanoid Creature Caught on Camera Under the Bridge, and it was shared by channel All About West Coast. Never heard of that. Oh! Is that a creature? Look here. Oh yeah, that does look weird. Does it have fur? But let's blow that up a little bit. Another team of ghost hunters investigating an abandoned hospital in Mexico. Suddenly, out of nowhere, something is peeking out of the dark. This capture was shared by Pasillo and was forwarded to him by a viewer. They told him that they took a snapshot that night of the uploader's wife and their grandmother, who passed away shortly after taking it. Eventually, they went through the pictures, and the fact that this was one of the very last pictures of their grandma made it just so much more eerie. They saw somebody else in the back that wasn't there at the time and that nobody could recognize. It looks like a sinister, laughing apparition. If it was related to Grandma's passing, is not very likely. But it still begs the question, why exactly this thing was captured on tape though? How strange. User Raphael445 has shared the following surveillance footage on Reddit. He explains that one night his uncle saw two men appearing out of nowhere right outside their property, which was reason enough for him to get outside and tell them that his property was out of limits for them. What was a bit strange though is the fact that these men did not move once after they had appeared, and they could only be seen for certain moments before they were gone again. Sounds strange. Let's take a look. And this is the moment when his uncle is talking to these two guys, but they don't react, which is really odd. Clearly looks like there's two men standing, doesn't it? But let's think rationally. What else could that be? Some people say that it just could be some regular shadows, but where would that light come from? And it's pretty suspicious that they would disappear once the flashlight hits them. What is your explanation for that? A user has shared the following. He stated, "My friend sent me this last night. This is his house, and when he wasn't home, he got a notification that his camera picked up movement. Once he watched it back and saw this, he was shook and asked me what my opinion was. Any thoughts? Looks clear as day to me." On first glance, one could think that the owner himself is walking through the frame here, but this wasn't the case apparently. His friend had some really odd encounters in his apartment in the past, but nothing that would ever prove that paranormal activity is unfolding in there. So, did his camera maybe capture an intruder that night? Or are we looking at a paranormal incident here? Now we want to take a look at another mysterious recording shared by the channel Fourth Wall. It is said that a security camera, which is mounted on a pole to overlook an old cemetery in Japan, has captured something quite unique this night. The cemetery is notorious for many strange sightings and reports. A security guard noticed that something seemed to be moving on this recording. Of course, the footage is not the best, but some say this could be a silhouette. Is that so? The staff also shared another clip from a nightly visitor that got spooked off the premises after going for a nightly walk. He believes to have captured a spirit here. Really strange to say the least. The following case was documented by Margarita, who states that after moving into a new house with her family, her son started talking and even playing with an invisible friend. They thought at first that this was just a case of her young son talking to an imaginable friend. However, one night, the security camera caught something shocking. The camera was situated in the bedroom of their son. Take a look.
So before I left the house for a drive, my son was asleep. Pay attention.
Armani, you need to go to bed, okay, baby? You hear me?
I have to tell you something when you get home.
What happened, baby? You hear me? I love you. Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
Margarita states that she got an alert from her Ring camera that movement was detected in the bedroom. Seeing this transparent shape after her young son left the room might have had to do with it. What exactly is this translucent shape? To many, it looks like a ghost. It's certainly a spooky night, I would say. Who knows? The following clip was shared from the inside of BGR's car, he tells us. I was sitting in my car today and this guy drives up and parks. I don't think much of it at first. The guy had a beard and glasses on. After a few minutes of looking at my phone, I glanced up and noticed him staring directly at me, except now he had no face. This sounds quite terrifying, doesn't it? Let's take a look at the actual recording. Whoever is looking at the man here appears to have a deformed face indeed. There are no apparent eyes or other facial features, which makes this event really spooky. What could have been the cause for this bizarre picture? Was the driver just wearing a mask to hopefully scare the person recording? Who knows? The following unsettling videos were recorded from inside the car of Beth. She saw something creepy appear out of thin air right across the street in the woods. And of course she turned her camera on and started capturing this quite eerie event. She shared it with her friends and family at first, so she certainly wasn't looking for any attention.
Talia, get over here. I can't even zoom in any closer. You see it? It just walks back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I initially took the video to send it to my friend. He paces back and forth for hours and hours, not just for 20 minutes at a time. This is hours and hours and hours and days, weeks. I mean, here we are a month and a half later and it's been still there.
She states that this went on for over a month at this point, and that this shadow can mostly be seen from a distance only.
Where we see that figure, it just walks back and forth every day, all day. Now, I've been over there a couple of times. As I walk up on it, there's just nothing there.
It's quite baffling for sure. People suspected that it might have been a strange reflection from somewhere, while others think this to be impossible, or that somebody was playing a creepy prank. Whatever the answer, it's certainly a creepy incident. Now we want to look at a terrifying case which has transpired in a deserted area of Nuevo León in Mexico. There's a little town called Ujescoala, which is accessed by a pretty long and desolated stretch of road. And in that little town is an abandoned and really run-down school building, which was named the Benito School and founded by the governor Don Jose Vichanzo in 1954. The old building still tells the tales of long-forgotten students and people who ventured to this deserted place. The following incident has been made public by a news station. It features a young man who ventured to this old place to investigate it. His name is Gabriel Martinez Navarro, and he made his video public on November the 10th. Apparently he was interested in many of the local tales that were saying that some unearthly forces were still inheriting this old place. And there was only one way to find out. driving there by himself.
Pues aquí voy rumbo para la escuela del Barrancón, aquí en Gualahuises. Es que vine a investigar yo solo. Y pues medianoche. Vengo a ver porque vi un video donde pues 5 pelados bien peludos. Sale una voz al principio del video diciendo me duele mucho. Pero yo no sé qué chingados le duele a un fantasma. No era neta. No sé qué chingados le duele a un fantasma. Pero vengo acá solo para enseñarles de que pues no hay nada. No hay nada. Porque pues como para que estén engañando a la gente, pues como que no.
After driving for quite some time, he finally makes it onto the premises and looks for a way in.
Esta es la escuela que tanto les decía.
What was that?
Escuché.
It appears that Gabrielle has captured a disembodied voice without noticing it at that moment. How curious. Maybe an omen that he was in for an interesting night?
Por allá hay una novia. Pero la novia no me metía. Porque ese culo. Un poquito más. Pero esta es la escuela. La escuela de Benito Juárez. La 1954. Hasta más.
Suddenly, stuff is moving on its own, and the young man is getting pretty afraid of the activity.
¿Quién es? ¿Quién es?
Besides the terrifying paranormal activity in this building, something has Gabriel shook to the core, and you might have missed it. Let's take another look. Something seemed to be peeking around the corner, right at him, and it's pretty certain that it wasn't your average person. What happened that night in this derelict school building? Did the young man maybe fall victim to a haunting? that turned him into a believer? Who knows? What's your explanation? Now to an even more mysterious recording. The uploader states that it was recorded while driving along a road in the city, somewhere in China. It was a nice and sunny day at first, but all of a sudden the weather changed, and besides an unusual strong wind breeze, there was something else that could be seen in the sky.
干成火花了，这啥情况啊？ 哎呦我操！哎呦我操！哎呦我操！哎呦我操！
What appears to be a strange bird, or, like some people speculated, a dragon can be seen flying through the sky. And then there is a scary looking spark of fire, making some believe that this might have been caused by the creature touching the power wires. A nice film project perhaps, but what makes all of this a little bit weirder is that the same day there have been several other people recording this incident from all kinds of different angles. Take a look.
这个热呀！
哎呦我的妈呀！雷电那样的都着火了，这是。这还咋的？哎呦我，路上了。
So, all just a big hoax? Some nice editing? Or just an inexplicable encounter? Now we are checking out another submission. The video was captured by a couple who was out the following day to go on a nice hiking trip in the mountains. It is said that several people had gone missing in this area over the years, so there's quite a bit of urban legends and ghost stories that people like to talk about. The trip went quite well, but after returning to their car, something quite scary unfolded, for what they had no explanation for. Looks like a person that is lying right on top of their car and staring into the windshield. But how's that possible? The couple was quite scared and drove away as fast as they could based on their reports. Did maybe somebody play a prank on them? If not, perhaps some well done editing? Or did something otherworldly unfold here? Maybe one of the missing souls? The following was a live stream recording that Melisa Simic, a man from Croatia, shared on his Facebook page at the time. He was traveling a few months ago and decided to venture to an old graveyard situated in the Alps. He stated that inexplicable noises were the reason at first why he was drawn further into the graveyard. And he didn't expect anything out of the ordinary really. But he made out two scary looking figures up a little hill.
Ne znam da li je moguće, ne znam da li ste vidjeli, ili mislim možda što sam sam ovde, kao da mi se učinilo, ne znam da li ste vidjeli, molim vas zavratite, ništa se ne vidi. Ništa ne vidim i dalje. Čini mi se kao da je mrdnulo malo. Ovo mrdno.
He thought that this might have been angels at first, perhaps, and describes the figures pretty mist-like. They were moving their arms quite weirdly, and he also swears that these were no statues. People on the internet state that they look pretty malevolent, almost like angels of death. In the end, we cannot be certain what exactly we are seeing here, but I find it's quite the terrifying image. What do you think? Just statues? Or is something else going on here? This video was shared by Caxlin01, who tells us that after moving into what he describes as one of the most haunted houses he ever experienced, things started to fall apart rather quickly. The man shared lots of poltergeist encounters with his viewers, but at a certain point he was sure that the spirit of a little child liked to manifest ever so often to scare him even more. The reasons are unknown. This was one of the latest recordings that he shared with his viewers. Is it possible that we are actually seeing the spirit here? It almost looks a bit too perfect in my opinion, and makes me think of the works of a similar channel. But who knows? I wasn't there after all.